Did you ever wonder if milling herbs was profitable? I believe I have a solution for you that won't be to jump off a cliff. I present to you my inscription spreadsheet. It will calculate the profitability of any herbs in cataclysm. At the end of this video, you should be able to mill herbs faster, decide which herb to mill, which items to sell, get organized with Auctionator, and post your items at lightning speed. I estimate getting 121,000 gold profit from inscription at the moment of recording this video. I sold 1,736 glyphs for an average price of 90 gold each. Since every glyphs costs me roughly 20 gold to craft, that would be 70 gold profit per glyph. The process is fairly simple. You buy herbs and mill them for pigments. You now have two options. You can either turn the pigments into inks or sell the pigments. Again, you will be presented with two options. You can either make glyphs or sell the inks. And finally, you also sell the glyphs. If you want, you could only sell glyphs just like you could sell all three of the products. You could also choose to sell whichever item gives you the best return. Inks have the best sell rate with roughly 0.30 to 0.50, which means when you post inks, they will sell 30 to 50% of the time. Pigments have a lower sell rate from 0.10 to 0.30, which means when you post pigments, they will sell from 10 to 30% of the time. Since some glyphs are way more desirable than others, their sell rate may vary from 0.10 to 0.50, so again, it will sell 10 to 50% of the time. I made a calculator to see exactly how much profit is made from milling herbs. The link is in the description below. Follow the steps to see if any herb is profitable. In step 1, go to File and make a copy. You can name the copy whatever you like. You can also resize the window to your liking. Step 2, select an expansion and an herb. As an example, we'll use Cinderbloom. With step 3, enter the milled quantity and the price of the herbs. You'll see that you are losing a lot of gold, but that's because you aren't done. Step 4, enter the price of pigments in the F column. To determine the pigment price, you can check the auction house for pigments or check the price of the ink. With 2 pigments, you can craft 1 ink, so in this case, divide the price of the ink by 2. And finally, step 5, check how much profit you will make from this process. It seems that it's profitable to mill Cinderbloom, but what if a different herb would give you more profit for the same type of pigments? Well, let's try it out. Change the Cinderbloom to Whiptail. You already see that Whiptail is more profitable, but it's important to validate all the information. In the example, Whiptail is not 2.5 gold, but 3.5 gold. Once the price is accurate, you can see that Whiptail is way more profitable in a scenario like this. That's because each herb has a different ratio of pigments and it's all inserted in the spreadsheet for you. In the second page of the spreadsheet, I made some shopping lists with the add-on Auctionator. Copy the cell of the group you want to import. Go to the shopping tab of Auctionator and click Import. Paste the text and you can now search items much quicker. Time to mill the herbs. TSM Destroy is the way to go. You get it at the same time of getting the Trade Skill Master add-on. You can press the Destroy button or make a macro. To make a macro, click on the TSM Minimap button. Go to Settings and select Macro. Select the Destroy option and add any other option that you want. Click on Create Macro. Open the macro window and drag the icon on your bar. You can use any keybind, but I personally prefer to use the mouse wheel up and down while holding the CTRL key. This way, my fingers are having a smooth experience. If the window doesn't appear, you can write the /TSM destroy in the chat to make it appear. It will not appear if nothing can be destroyed. This is how fast you can mill herbs with a macro by simply spinning your mouse wheel. Before we talk about making glyphs, we need to talk about leveling inscription. You can use the guide on the screen by using the link in the description, but I would be careful. This guide doesn't take into account any of the auction house prices. I would always consider looking at prices before crafting anything, since the guide will sometimes tell you to craft worthless items. It's always better to craft glyphs even if they are only worth 5 gold. Now that you have some skills, let's get some glyph recipes. You can get 2 glyph recipes per day with research, the vanilla research and the northern research. You can also buy the Colossus Smash recipe from the auction house. On top of that, if you have 425 skill in inscription, you can buy up to 54 books of glyph mastery. Each book will contain a new recipe. They can be purchased at the auction house. So how can we calculate the crafting cost of glyphs? A glyph needs 3 inks, so 6 pigments. Going back to the calculator, you can get the pigment price and multiply it by 6. But that would be the wrong crafting cost. Since this is profitable, we need to change the price of the pigment until it's close to 0 profit. You can modify the pigment price until the calculator shows 0 profit. In our example, it's 1 gold and 66 silvers, which, multiplied by 6, gives us roughly 10 gold. This means that the crafting cost of glyphs in a situation like this would be 10 gold. But what if I were to tell you that this is the crafting cost of every glyph in the game? In Stormwind or Orgrimmar, there is an NPC that trades for ink. If you give him a black follow ink, which is the cataclysm ink, he will give you any common ink in the game. So if you want to simplify your life, you can simply get a ton of black follow ink to craft every glyph in the game. So how do you determine which glyph to craft and which not to craft? You can go 2 different routes. Route number 1, craft every glyph that gives you a profit that satisfies you. Let's say your crafting cost is 10 gold and you want to make at least 20 gold profit. You could craft every glyph over 30 gold. You can check prices in the TSM crafting interface. Check for the min buyout price. To remember what to craft, I use the TSM crafting queue. When you want to craft a glyph, you click on the queue button. It will save the recipes that you want to craft, and you can increase the quantity by pressing on the queue button repeatedly. The second route is to craft the most expensive glyphs only. You can use Auctionator and search for glyph, followed by show more results. This will take a very long time, but it will show you the most expensive glyphs. Obviously, you won't have all of the recipes at the start, but you can craft the ones that you have, from the most expensive to the least expensive. When posting glyphs, I like to use none other than the TSM add-on. I made a TSM group with an operation on the second page of the spreadsheet. Click copy at this cell in the spreadsheet, click on the TSM minimap button and go to groups. Press on the import button. Paste the text and click import. Every glyph in the game is in this group. It will also come with an operation. It is currently set to not undercut unless the auction house price is above 35 gold, but you can manually change the price to your liking. Remember the price you decided earlier? That's the price that you insert here. Now open the auction house. To use the TSM interface, click on TSM at the bottom. Select the glyph group and click on Run Post Scan. Depending on the number of glyphs in your bags, this will take some time. You'll see that some glyphs will post at 399 gold. That's because they are below the initial 30 gold, which means you won't make your minimum profit. Glyphs are very volatile in price. To demonstrate that, the glyph of Rip sold for 38 gold on some days, while selling at 189 gold on other days, for an average of 87 gold. When the scan is over, you can press the post button repeatedly. Remember the macro you made earlier? You can use this macro to post auctions much faster. How often should you post your glyphs? The screenshots showed before were from posting roughly 10 times in one day on a full pop server. You can post every 5 minutes if you want, or 2 to 3 times a day. As it only takes 1 minute to post, you could no-life this and post 50 times per day. If you have any questions or feedback, you can use the comments or tell me in real time on Twitch. Did I mention my brand new goal-making website? Make sure to check out these fine articles and subscribe to the newsletter to get an email every time I post new content. For a very similar spreadsheet that calculates profit from prospecting every ore in the game, as well as a retail TSM profile with over 30 operations, check out my Patreon. These are some of the nice perks you could enjoy. Big thanks to my current patrons and Twitch subs.
Yes, yes, yes! No, 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 no! Yes! No! Peppers!